Hey guys, I just wanted to give my review plus a few tips on how to use the Pooter that Jack Vale uses in all of his videos. I've been a huge fan of Jack Vale for a long time. Farts are funny; they always have been. And he has absolutely no shame at all, and he is probably the best, one of the best at what he does. You've got guys like Humor Bagel, who also use the Pooter. Jack Vale, it's his product. I think he said he's been selling it for like 12 or 13 years or something, and has done really well. And he's obviously the master. But you've got guys like Gilstrap TV, Humor Bagel, and then of course Jack Vale. There may be a few others that have used it, but those are the most notable ones. And after watching Jack for so long, and farts being funny, I'm sorry, they just are. And I decided, I'm like, okay, the farts sound so organic. He does not have an electronic fart machine. He can't. There's no way. He's doing this somehow without the use of an electronic, push button. You've seen those fart machines before. And I'm like, that can't be that. They sound real. And sure enough, I saw the link the first time to the Pooter in Humor Bagel's channel. So shout out to Humor Bagel for successfully selling a Pooter for Jack Vale. So I just saw the name. I didn't see what it actually was. And then when I went to the website, Jack Vale's website where he sells them, I'm like, that makes so much sense. There's so much more clarity behind why these farts sound as real as they do. And I was like, I have to get one of these. And they're only $20, guys. They're only $20. If you think farts are funny and you really kind of want to mess with your family members at holidays or whatever, I'm telling you, this thing is absolutely incredible. There are a few caveats I want to go over. So first of all, this is what it looks like. It's a cylindrical shaped object with a hole in the top, just like that. And this part right here is hard plastic, and then the rest of it is a rubber device that you just squeeze it in your hand and out comes a fart. So I guess I'll start by saying that this thing produces some of the realest fart sounds I have ever heard. Okay. It is hilarious. My wife thinks that Jack Vale's films, Humor Bagel and Gilstrap and, Sons of Arkham, I think, that does videos with Gilstrap. Forgive me if I mess the name up. She thinks they're funny too. And when I got this thing, one of the first things out of her mouth was, I think I smell a date night, where we'll walk around Walmart and I'll video and, you do what Jack Vale does. And I'm like, well, okay, first of all, Jack is extremely prepared in his videos. He shows that he has another guy with him, and they have the grocery cart with stuff over the camera, and the guy's pushing the cart, and most of the time the people never ever see the camera. Okay, so you can't just walk around Walmart with your wife going hee 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 with her phone, because the jig is up as soon as you fart. They turn around, they see the camera, boom, it's not a joke anymore. Everybody's just like, okay, what are you doing? So you got to be prepared. I mean, there's certainly a lot of respect for the preparedness that Jack, and Humor Bagel and Gilstrap and all these guys that do this and have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. So this is kind of a review video mixed with some tips on how to use this thing, because I'll tell you right now, it's fantastic. It's worth every penny. But when you first get it, it is incredibly difficult to use. It took me 2 or 3 solid days of practicing with this thing, figuring out the best position for it in your hand. And that's something that you're just going to have to play with. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You may find success the way Jack holds it, kind of like that. I think if there's a couple videos where he'll show it. I don't hold it that way. And you have to kind of look and see, how yours is, you got to get it. And the first thing that Jack tells you to do in his tutorial video is loosen up the rubber, so that it's easier to use. I live in South Texas, and it was like 95 degrees when mine got shipped and it got here. So the rubber was already soft. I didn't even have to mess with that. But if you live in a colder climate, this thing is going to be stiff as a board when you get it. So you need to get it in your hand, get it in your house, and just work use both your hands, work the rubber all the way around, make it pliable. Because the easier it is to squeeze in your hand, the more real the fart's going to sound. Because if it's stiff, you're just going to get, you're going to get a bunch of air, or it's just not going to press, and you're going to get farts that sound like, they just sound real forced and high pitched, and they're just not as funny because they don't sound real, versus, so you just kind of have to play with it, because it is a difficult device to use. And it took me, like I said, a great deal of time to get used to how to make the realistic fart sounds that Jack does. And he does not hold it the way I do. I'm going to go over the way I hold it. And you'll just have to watch his videos, to see how he holds it, because, it depends on your hands. Jack looks like he has about the same size hands as I do. I did not find success holding it the way he does. I can't. It just doesn't work. And I tried rotating this thing in my hand every which direction. I couldn't make it work. So while I'm sitting on the couch, watching TV, or I'm working, and, I'm watching, training videos or whatever, I'm just figuring out, the best way to hold this thing. Now, one thing I will say, is that's probably the most important, is yours will ship. And I'm sorry for the autofocusing. I don't know why my camera's doing that. You'll notice that yours probably will bend easier. Like it will squeeze easier in certain spots. Mine has this one spot on the side where it's very, very pliable. On the other sides, not so much. See, I can't, with 2 fingers, I can't even barely squeeze that. So that's one thing you want to look for, is if there's a side where yours is the most pliable. And so I found the position in my hand where let me get it where you can see it, where that pliable part is easier under my control. So then, so now if I twist it and I put one of the sides that doesn't really bend in my, if I put the side that doesn't really bend under my middle finger and the flat spot on the palm of my hand, I mean, a little bit maybe, but I have almost no control over the sound that comes out, versus when I switch it back, it's much easier to control. And it's just, you just gotta have to play with it. It is that difficult. I don't want to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. Jack's tutorial video is great. I love it, but he doesn't really say anything about how difficult it is to learn. It's a difficult little prank gag device to use. It takes time. Pardon me. When I first got mine, and played with it for about 24 hours, I was convinced that I was going to have to take it back or send it back. Like I'm like, this does not at all work the way Jack advertises. I don't know what kind he's using, but this is not it. You know, the way his farts sound, you know, gets those long, low farts. You know, it doesn't work like his does. So I was really distraught in the first 24 hours-ish that I got it. So don't lose hope. Practice. Practice, practice, practice. It does take practice. So, again, I hold it with that. You can see that side right there. That really pliable side of mine. I hold it, and I use these 3 fingers to push down. I do not use my index finger at all, and Jack does. And I just could not find success that way. And I hold it up against my body or up against my shorts or in my pocket because it makes the fart sound more real. Like, it still sounds pretty good, you know, like that. But if you hold it up against your clothes, makes it sound like it's coming out of your butt, you know. And sometimes, the other things to consider, versus, you know, there's the way you hold it, obviously. There's getting used to the way that yours squeezes, the way it feels in your hand. This is a completely feel-based prank device. You have to get used to how it feels, how yours feels in your hand. They ship the exact same. Don't get me wrong. It's the exact same thing that you see here. But the rubber around the side may be pliable in different spots, you know, so you'll have to just kind of play with that. So there's the grip. You know, you have to figure out how you want to hold it. My index finger, not in use at all. I don't use it at all. I cannot. I've tried. I've even tried, you know, using it, you know, I can't do it in my left hand at all because I'm not left-handed. So there's how you hold it. There's, you know, the particulars of the one that you get, you know, it's, yours may not be pliable in the exact same spots that mine are. The other thing that I really want to mention, okay, is your hands, the state of your hand. What do I mean by state? I mean sweaty or dry. With dry hands, this thing does not work very well. And right now, for the sake of the video, you know, I went and got my hands a little wet under the faucet because, you know, it helps. Obviously helps with the sound. Okay? With dry hands, this is all you get. You just get air. It's incredibly difficult to get a good fart sound when your hands are dry. So one thing that I do recommend for good fart sounds. Now, this is Vicks. I don't really recommend using this because it's Vicks. It's not, you know, regular Vaseline or whatever. And you don't need a lot. You need just a little bit, just enough on this area, like this right here is the sweet spot for where you want this thing to be. You know, you want it about, you know, right there, you know, and again, I hold it like this and Jack, you know, uses his first 3 fingers, I think. I'm not sure. And Humor Bagel, you never see his because it's in his jacket pocket. So you never really get to see how he does it. So one thing, again, your state of your hand is super important. So what I do when I want to practice with this thing is if my hands are not already kind of sticky and sweaty from working outside or whatever, you know, then I take a little bit of this, you know, I just kind of dab my finger on the top. That's it. You don't have to like grab a bunch. I just kind of like dab my finger on the top and then I just take it and I rub it right there. and I just kind of rub it in. And sometimes I'll do it over my whole palm just to make sure, I'm covering everything. And then at that point, you get some pretty real sounding farts. And you can tell the difference here. Because, mine, while they still sound okay right now, listen to the difference. Listen to the difference. I'm just going to take a little bit off the top. It ain't much. You can barely see it. Okay, again, I recommend Vaseline, not Vicks, because it's not scented. So I just take it and I rub it on the palm, on that little ball area. I guess it would be the ball of your hand. I don't know. This area, this flat spot. And then when you use your pooter, you can hear, that I put a little too much. Hold on. You can hear the difference. You can very well hear the difference. It makes them sound a lot more real. You get those lower tones versus those farts, which, just aren't as funny. And there's a big difference. So if you're ever going to do this in any serious capacity, and just wipe it off, you're not going to, you're not going to hurt it. Sometimes I take I'll use just to make sure the inside's not getting really disgusting, I'll take a pipe cleaner, with some rubbing alcohol and just, put it in an L shape and then stick it in the hole and get it in there and just do this. Because, when you're using an outside, substance like either Vicks or Vaseline, it always, enough use of that, you're going to start getting some residual stuff down inside there, and you really don't want to, you want to keep this thing as, as useful as you can. And if it gets dirty inside, but, you see, I wiped it off, still sounds okay, but I'm still not getting those super low tones. It starts off high. I mean, not high, but it starts off higher and it ends higher. And there's a lot more air. I don't know if you can hear that or not. There's a puff of air that comes out first. It goes first. See? And after I wipe it off, I can still do it, but it's not, you don't get the same sound as you do when you've got, just a touch, a very thin layer of Vaseline or something right there will really, really get those good sounds from this thing. So overall, I would say the most important thing to remember when you get one of these is expect problems. Expect it to be difficult, because it will be. Number 2 is figure out how to hold it. Figure out, if you're left-handed or right-handed, doesn't matter. Figure out how to hold it. And then, third, I would say, figure out where the best, figure out how to rotate it in your hand here. Like, figure out where where your easier, more pliable spots are on it, and then use those to your advantage. Put those to where when you have it in your hand, you have the most control. You got to just play with it. And then, I guess the last thing would be to use something like this if you really wanted to get, good sounds. And the good thing about Vaseline is it's not water soluble. So you basically just need a little bit and you're good for a while. Like, you don't have to keep reapplying it or anything. The only thing is if you wipe it off like I did, use your shirt or your shorts, you wipe your hand off, and then there's a very distinct difference between, using this thing with a dry hand and using it with a moist hand. See, that was a pretty good one, but you get the idea. It's just, it is a very, very difficult device to use when you first get it. So expect that you won't get it. right away. Okay. You're not going to get sounds like this, like the ones I've been right out of the box, unless you've just, used one of these things before and you just, pick it up a lot faster than some of us did. But it is not an easy device to use, but I tell you what, it is hands down the best fart machine I've ever owned. 100%. Like it with electronic fart machines, you get the same, robotic fart sounds on a loop sometimes. And then sometimes they randomize them, and at a certain point, stock fart sounds that they load onto these fart machines, they all sound the same. Because I had one of those when I was growing up, and it just, in their peak, when they first came out, they were fine. But when you want to do what Jack Vale does, or Gilstrap, or Humor Bagel, you really need a fart machine that is more organic, that gives you those farts that sound real, versus, the same poo or whatever that super popular stock fart sound is, that is, you hear, you may not think you know it, but you hear it and you're like, I've heard that before, and it's just not funny. Not only that, but those fart machines, the electronic ones, are only like $10. This is 20 and 10 times better than any other fart machine you will ever own. If you enjoy farts, if you enjoy pranking people with farts, pranking your family with farts, this is it. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. 100% 10 out of 10. It is probably one of the funniest things I've ever owned. I've used it on my own family already, and my own mom and dad were just like, did you really just do that? Like, lift your leg and fart on me in the kitchen? And it's like, they immediately thought it was a real fart. There was no second guessing. They heard it and they were like, what? And that's what you want. If you're going to prank people, that's what you want. You want them to think that it's a real fart. You don't want to fart and make it sound like, Optimus Prime pushing air out of his metal butt. Those farts don't sound real, and if you want your farts to sound real, this is what you want. So that's about all I've got. Just remember, don't give up on it. Okay. Don't give up on it. Keep practicing, keep using it, and I promise it will come. But Jack, thank you. I really appreciate your videos, your channel. I love you. Major shout outs to Jack Vale, Humor Bagel, and Gilstrap, and Sons of Arkham. Guys, you guys are awesome. Jack being my primary inspiration. I just think that you guys are awesome. I love what you do on YouTube. Please don't ever stop. And that's going to do it for me. But Jack, thank you. This thing is amazing.